This is John for Johngy Speaking of the Everyday Fan Sports. Today I have the pleasure of being on the beat with wrestler Kaia McKenna. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, John. How are you doing?
I'm good. I just met you a couple weeks ago at StarCast. I believe you said that we were the first people to you ever met at a Comic Con or wrestling con.
Yeah, I hadn't done any conventions to date. Not that the opportunities haven't been there. I had always taken bookings in place of doing conventions. So when the opportunity was extended to me to do Starcast, I was like, of course, why not? But yeah,
So
you
how
guys are
was
the
your?
first ones. I was super excited.
I'm sorry. How was your first experience then?
Oh, it was wonderful. I had done other weekends on Ring Crew and whatnot. So like when they were in Nashville previously, I was helping out there. I was still on the mend from my shoulder injury, but to actually be a part of the event was really nice. And to see a lot of people I hadn't seen in a while because I was out for so long with that injury. You know, you get used to seeing people week in and week out,
Sure.
even though we're from all over the country, you know, fellow wrestlers, like fans you see regularly, like promoters, whoever, like people who do sound, music, all these people that you get used to seeing, and then you don't see them for a long period of time. So it's always nice to be in a place where it's like a catch-all, something like Starcast, you can meet everybody and see everyone and catch up with everyone.
It was a fun event. I have to say it was
Yeah, it was good.
fun. So, I mean, you brought up your injury. You had a very serious injury with your shoulder. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And I know it was, as I said, it was serious. Did you ever get really discouraged about your future?
Yeah, I mean, there was if you don't know, I had a shoulder injury that required surgery in December of 2021. I had surgery in February of 2022. I have since returned to the ring from that surgery. But yeah, there was a time where I was really in my head. I was like, man, like I might not wrestle again. Like this might be permanent. This might not be something that can be fixed. This might be an injury that I cannot manage and continue to be an in-ring performer. And that was very, very scary. But I'm very grateful that I had that moment because now that I can work out, that I can train, that I can take matches, that I can do CrossFit, that I can do these things again. And there was a time where I thought I wasn't going to be able to. It makes you just so grateful that you can. You know, you're like, man,
Sure.
I remember those days when I couldn't do this. You know, I don't like doing burpees, but I remember there were days when I couldn't. You know, I remember after I had surgery and all I could do was I would ride the bike. Like I was in a sling and my mom would like help me get onto the bike so I could sit there and ride the bike. And then when I started feeling a little bit better, I would do like air squats, but I would do like 200 of them. I
Wow.
just go to the wall and like just do air squats because that's all I could do. And then when I felt a little better than that, I did walking lunges, but I'd have to hold like a PVC stick so I wouldn't fall over because off balance, you know? So I think of the times when I couldn't do things like that. And then not that it makes burpees enjoyable, but it makes you be able to move your body in a way that you couldn't, you know? So I
Sure.
just try to think about that. Even when I have hard days at training or I have a hard day in the ring, I'm like, man, there was a time where I didn't think I would be able to do this again. So you have a lot of gratitude when you finally get back to it.
And when you did get back to it, when you started to do training and all that back in the ring, how sensitive were you about your shoulder? Did you worry that you were going to re-injure it? Were you kind of on eggshells for a little bit?
Yeah, so that's an interesting point, right? Like physically, you're fine. You have the surgery, you do the rehab, everything's good. Like physically, it's good. There's no reason it shouldn't
Sure.
be. It's fine. But like mentally, it's always in the back of your head. I don't think it ever leaves you. I think you grow more comfortable with it, like that feeling. It's not like an impending doom anymore. It's just like a little note in the back of your head, but
Right.
it never leaves you. Like every time I wrestle, I'm like, okay, like you got to be aware, you have to be smart, you have to protect this. Like even though it's good to go, you're still your mind, man. Your mind is powerful and it's crazy.
Oh
So
yeah.
trying to overcome the mental side of an injury is a whole different can of worms. Like you can be physically ready to go, but just not mentally where you need to be as well.
No, I listened to an interview with you and a few interesting points. You've done a lot in the wrestling. You said, you've been an announcer, you've been a referee, you've done pretty much you set up the ring.
Everything. I've done
But
everything.
but the thing I liked about it though is you kind of use that to learn about the business, to learn about every aspect of the business, as opposed to I'm just paying my dues. So where did that mindset come from?
Um, well, first off, it's just how I was trained. It's like if you love this business, you give back to it and you're a part of it and you don't mind doing those sorts of things, right? Like that's part of being a part of this business. Everybody should do. I know everybody's trained a little differently, but our trainers were very, very adamant about us being hands on and being involved and contributing. So that's part of it. The other part is when I was hurt, it gave me a reason to still be around the business. I mean, I could have sat at home and done nothing and just kind of been like, okay, how do I stay relevant? People are going to forget about me. Or when I was able to, I could dust myself off. I could go help with ring crew. I could go help with production. I could help do drives, anything to just still be around people and like be around my friends too. Cause like I said,
Sure.
you miss people when you're stuck at home. You get used to seeing them, right? So for me, it was, while I was recovering, at least, it was a very big part. It was a very good way to stay a part of the business while I was out and still be involved in wrestling because I just love wrestling. I didn't want to not be around it.
No, I completely understand. So when you were doing all that, all the different roles that you had, did that help you in terms of your wrestling mindset or your wrestling in the ring? Did that change at all?
I mean, I think doing like accessory work doesn't help you in the ring per se, but it makes you appreciate what each individual contributes to the business, like to get to see how sound and lighting and production and how the ring goes up and down and how chairs are set, how people are let in the door, like security, first aid, transport, travel, like to see all the things that go into it other than the match is very insightful. As far as helping you in the ring, I would say the most beneficial thing is just being at the show and getting to watch because you can learn so much from watching. You can learn so much from watching good wrestling. You can learn so much from watching bad wrestling. So to be able to sit there and take it in and take notes about what's working, how crowds are reacting to people, like what people are catching on to, that's where that part's beneficial, is like actually getting to witness the wrestling happening.
Well, that leads into my next question because you also talked about one day being a promoter, perhaps running your own wrestling league.
Yeah.
And you had some real deep thoughts about it, and like it's not just you weren't just somebody going, "Yeah, I can do this." You actually like
Oh, I
had
know I can't do it. So, like, I would surround myself with people that were experts at the things that I needed help with. Like, I would not want to be a promoter. And I have seen people try to do it all, and it's just very, very, very difficult. It's very difficult to do everything yourself. And in all of my travels, I have seen all of the shortcomings for the most part, like where things fall through the cracks, where things could be better, you know, and I think a big part of that is just the ability to like delegate and surround yourself with like-minded smart people that can help you make something successful. So like if my weak spot in promoting is getting a ring, I would hire somebody that I knew could get my ring in, get it set up, get my chairs set up, get all of my equipment set up, and I wouldn't have to worry about it, right? Like if my weak spot is I didn't know anything about travel, I would hire somebody to make sure everybody I brought into my show knew how they were getting in, knew how they were getting home, had a place to stay, had transportation to and from the venue, and then I don't have to worry about it, right? So if I were to be a promoter, I would just kind of surround myself with those people so like everybody can work together and try to make sure all the bases are covered. There are people who are very, very good at doing everything themselves. I just know that that would be too much for me. I
well,
would need
you got to know your limits.
and
Sure,
it's okay. You got to be able to admit that sometimes, like when
sure, sure.
you're the expert on something, right?
So, is it something that realistically you want to do down the line?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I still think I have a lot of time left for my in-ring career, so it wouldn't be anything in the future, in the near future per se. But I would, when my time in the ring is done, I would still very much like to be a part of this business in some capacity. So yeah, that's an avenue I have certainly considered.
Well, that you just started to answer my next question. Obviously, you're young, you're new in the whole business. How long do you think you want to wrestle? Do you have any goal, anything in sight?
I mean, as long as I'm enjoying it. Does that make sense? Like, as long
Sure.
as it's fun for me and I'm having a good time, because I don't think this is something worth being a part of if it's not fun for you. It's too much. You know, if
Oh,
you're
that
not
makes
having
sense.
a good
Sure.
time, it's okay to leave this. And I think that that's when people should maybe step away, right? Is when it's not fun for them anymore. It doesn't give them a sense of enjoyment or fulfillment, whatever their goals may be. Even if your goal is as simple as just working the indies every weekend and you're happy doing that, or if like you want to be signed, you know, from the bottom to the top, you got to be having a good time, right? Because if this isn't fun, like this is too hard. The work, it's too hard. Wrestling's too hard to
Yeah.
be doing if it's not fun for you. So for me, I would say the answer would be like when I no longer am getting enjoyment from the in-ring part of professional wrestling, like when that's run its course for me, when I'm like, okay, I'm fulfilled here. it's not that I'm not having fun per se, but I'm satisfied with it. And it's okay that I move on and I can leave that part of the business behind for a minute.
Makes total sense. Now, I asked you ahead of time if I could switch gears for a little bit. I'm fascinated by the topic, and I mean this with all respect. I really am fascinated about the topic. You are a witch.
I am.
What exactly does that mean?
Oh man, that I'm a witch. I mean, what do you want it to
Yeah,
mean?
like
I practice
what is a
magic.
witch?
What is a witch? Me, I'm
Yeah.
a witch. To me, there are many different types of witches who practice many different types of magic. Some magic is familial, some magic is cultural. Some people come into their magic, some people take their magic, some people are gifted their magic. So it all comes from so many different pots, right? For me, my witch lineage is familial. My aunt is a very successful, powerful witch. So I was kind of raised around it. Goes back multiple generations, my family, my grandmother, my great grandmother, you name it, right? So it's always been a part of me. It's always been something I've done. And we really like to focus on the direction of energy and how we can perceive the energies around us and manipulate them to create desirable outcomes for not only ourselves, but the world as a whole, right? Restoring a little bit of balance per se. So to me, that's where the magic is just being able to be like intuitive about your environment, perceptive of the energies around you, and focused enough to be able to set your intention and direct those energies in a way that creates the outcome you would desire.
So you said that you've come from it's familial. So
Yeah.
does that mean like I don't want to get too personal on your family, but
I
if
mean,
you have
honestly, for me, I like the idea of being in control of myself and my life and where I go and my destiny, right? Like, and to be able to engage and interact with these energies empowers me. It makes me feel like I can direct things the way I want. I'm not just blindly hoping and praying that something works my way by some greater higher powers. Like I feel like I'm taking a very active role in my future and my fate. And that to me is one of the huge thing, like the biggest appeal of being a witch to me is how empowering it is, right? You're not just like hoping and praying and waiting, or like you're not putting it in someone else's hands. Like you are getting hands on, you're taking a very active role in how your life is going to go.
But like, would your cousins or your siblings, would they all be witches too, or does it
I mean, if
depend
they
on?
choose,
Okay,
if they're sensitive to the energies and they can interact and engage with the veil, absolutely. But some people choose not to be a part of it, and that's totally fine as well. There are plenty of people who live their lives practicing whatever spirituality or religion or faith that they find comfort in, and that's also totally okay. I do not begrudge anyone if magic is not for you. It's not for everyone. It's fine. But just it is for me. It is for me. So I find a lot of comfort in magic and being able to practice.
and to talk to me a little bit about the crystals. Again, I don't mean to sound like a newbie, but I am a newbie. I don't
That's
understand.
fine.
I respect all this, and I'm genuinely curious. You had talked about a certain crystal, and I forgot which one, amethyst maybe.
Yes,
Um,
I like amethyst. I'm a big
there,
amethyst person. It's very grounding, very peaceful. Helps you kind of harness your emotions. If you're somebody who's very like empathetic or perceives a lot of emotions, like that's something I struggle with is absorbing a lot of emotions from the people around me that aren't necessarily mine. So I've always liked amethyst as a grounding agent, as a creator of peace for my being, as something that helps me be empathetic but not be weighed down by the energies around me. And I think that you can approach crystals one of two ways. Like they're gonna some crystals absorb things, some crystals amplify things. I mean, we could be here for hours talking about this, right? Like, but that's generally what it is. There are certain crystals, they all do certain things. Some deflect things, some reflect. It's very, very, very complex, right? Not really, but they all do different things. But the idea is it's like we call it materia. So a crystal is a piece of materia, just like a candle or an athame or an herb or a plant or anything, right? And magic is a lot of symbolism. So a lot of times the materia is symbolic of what you're trying to accomplish. But at the end of the day, like it's just not that it doesn't matter, like not that crystals don't matter and candles don't matter and herbs don't matter. Like, oh my God, the Instagram TikTok witches are gonna kill me for saying that, right? But it doesn't, because real magic is done with you. It's done with your mind. It's your ability to focus like not be distracted by outside thoughts. It's the ability to set your intention, and that's how you direct the energy. And the idea of materia is it actually occupies your lower self so your higher self can focus. It's like when you give a child a toy, right?
Okay.
You know, so not that it's not effective, not that it's not helpful. I just don't think it's like the most powerful witches in the world do not need any kind of crystal, herb, candle, whatever to do the magic they want to do. They can simply do it with their mind.
So you said like if you wanted to go, you would go someplace and buy an amethyst. Is that just you would buy a stone, you would buy a ring or something with it, or is it just the stone itself you would buy?
I usually buy like just the raw crystals. I like them. Some people buy them tumbled, some people buy them smooth, some people buy it in a piece of jewelry. So it's really a matter of personal preference, honestly.
Okay.
Like you personally like. I just like the edges. I like it being very geometric and very like to the earth. I do think that if you're going to go buy crystals, you need to be in the right mindset to do it. So you shouldn't go do it when you're like angry or frustrated or upset about something, because that's not where you want to be. You want to be kind of in a good mindset where you're just generally pretty pleased that day, because we all have bad days. Pick a good day to go do it. And just kind of be open to it, and don't set an expectation of having to find everything in one day. Like go in, pick crystals up, take note of how they make you feel, how it feels in your hand, how you feel when you're holding it, what you think about, like, do you see colors when you hold it? Do you hear certain sounds? Do you have a smell that it brings to you? Like really just be in tune with your environment when you're holding the crystal. And if it's something that like you really like, it just makes you feel happy when you hold it, like that's probably the one for you. And if you pick one up and you don't feel happy when you hold it, try another one. But you have to hold it. You have to like go put your hands on it and feel how it reacts to you. So I always encourage people to, like, if you can find a little store that sells them, to go and be hands-on and make it an experience, because that's how you're going to find the best one that's fit for you, the best amethyst for you in the whole pile, right? You got to pick them all up and see.
But then there are different stones, like you said, for different things. Where would somebody find out? I think you said just go on the internet actually and
I
just
mean, yeah, I have a book. I can't remember who wrote it. It's called like Crystals for Beginners. I got it from Barnes and Noble. It's really great cliff notes for the most common crystals out there. You know, if you're not trying to like go dig up the craziest thing in some crazy country that's super rare, and you just want to know a baseline, it'll give you your baseline. It'll give you all the information you need, what you're trying to do. Like, oh, go to this page for happiness crystals, go to that page for if you're feeling angry, go to this page if you're feeling stressed, you know, like, so I really like that book. Oh my God, I wish I could remember who wrote it. I don't have it on me right now at my desk. So,
quite all right.
but it is a good one. It's literally called A Beginner's Guide to Crystals. It's an amazing book. It gives you all the information you need without it being like overwhelming or overbearing if you're new to this. But
Very
go
cool.
answer it. Go pick one out.
No, I
Go,
appreciate you enlightening me,
yeah.
because, like I said, it's a topic that I don't get to ask many people like yourself who are actually into it, where I could get real answers. So I
Yeah.
appreciate.
Well, and
Yeah,
my answers might not be like 100% correct, or like, you know, another witch may have another take on it, and that's totally valid as
sure.
well. Magic is very, very subjective. And I think that that's the magic of magic, is that there's no like right way to witch per se, right?
Sure,
You
sure.
know? So that's just my perception of it and how I kind of approach it. That doesn't make any other way right or wrong.
But like like you said, though, it works for you, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
No,
Well, like being able to focus, like with any kind of practice, right, is like the ability to like not be distracted by your phone, by the TV, by your neighbors arguing outside, by the dog barking, by noise in your house, like to really just get to that mental state where you are in tune with what's going on around you, in your head, what you want to make happen. My aunt used to have this exercise she made us do where you have to count backwards from 100. And you know how when you count sheep, you like visualize the sheep like coming
sure.
along, jumping over the little fence and going about its day, right? But instead of sheep, you just visualize the number coming in and going out. And it's like 100, 99, 98. You go all the way down to one. But if you break focus, if something distracts you, if you lose count, if you think of something else other than that number, you got to start all the way from the beginning. And it's very, very, it seems like it's a very easy concept, but it's very, very difficult. Like try doing it from 20 to start, not having anything else cross your mind, but the number coming in and out.
And that's more to like improve your focus on stuff.
Yeah, it's the ability to like kind of turn off that like monkey mind we all
Okay.
have. It's almost like meditation to an extent. It is a form
Okay.
of meditation, right? But yeah, just like how difficult it really is to be focused, right? And to set an intention like that. It's very eye-opening. I
Well,
encourage everybody to try it.
well, that's got to help you in the ring too, then to, to
Oh
focus
yeah.
on what you're supposed to be doing then.
Yeah, the ability not to like block people out, because like the crowd is such a huge part of wrestling, and that's my favorite part of wrestling, is just how people respond to your wrestling, right? So you need to be in tune with the crowd, but you also need to be able to like slow your brain down enough to be focused on what you're out there to do and what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you're too caught up and you're too frenetic, like it's going to show. It's going to show in how you move, it's going to show in how you execute. The fans pick up on that energy. We talk about perceiving energy, right? Like fans perceive your energy in the ring. So
Sure.
like if your energy is very frenetic, like that's going to translate to the fans. They're going to be frenetic. You set the pace for your match, and you could do that by having intention and being focused.
Very cool. Before I let you go, tell everybody where they could find more information about you, your social media, whatever you want to put out there.
Okay, my social media on all platforms is Kaia MCK. So it's KAIA MCK. That's Twitter, Instagram, I guess X, right? Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything. That's me. You can find the shows I'm going to be at on those platforms. You can find content from me on the road, pictures, video clips, match clips. It's all on my social media. I do have a store, KaiaMcKenna.bigcartel.com. I just restocked it with a bunch of new stickers and some new t-shirts coming in the next couple of weeks. I just put tie-dyes up. I've got long sleeves coming in for winter. So please check out some good witch merch. Yeah, that's pretty much right what I got going on online these days. Hopefully pick up a busier schedule in October. I did take some time in September to just kind of rest after a very busy summer. I
Sure.
think it's important you take care of your body in this business. One of the things I learned in my time off is that wrestling will be here. It's not going anywhere. It's still here. So
And fans love you. Fans want to see you back.
yeah, I'm glad to be back. I really am. And like I said, just getting to see everybody and reconnect with everyone I didn't see for such a long period of time has been nice.
Well, Kaya, it was great to meet you at StarCast, and it was
Yes.
fantastic talking to you. And really, thank you for your patience and enlightening me on both topics, wrestling and with.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because like I said, there's no right or wrong way to quote unquote witch, but there are many ways to witch. So don't mind sharing a little insight into how I witch.
Well, and it's like I
Witch.
said,
So
it's not like I could go next door and ask my neighbor because I mean I'm talking right to the source here. So I certainly appreciate your patience
of
and
course.
sharing. Kaya,
Yeah.
you have a fantastic night, and I hope to see you wrestle somewhere in the Chicago area sometime soon.
Yes, I will be in the Midwest all October. So I'm still finalizing some dates, but if you follow me on social media, you will find out where I'm going to be as soon as I know. I'll let you
Which
know.
I do follow you, and again, if you're wrestling in the area, I will see you again. If not, I'll
Yeah,
see
in
you
the
somewhere down the
Midwest, I
line.
wrestle quite frequently at Dreamwave, WrestleMax in St. Louis,
Sure.
SCW Pro in Iowa, Paradigm in Indiana. So it's like I kind of try to hit at least a couple of the states when I'm out this way. You can catch me somewhere. I'm all over the place.
And I will catch you.
Yeah.
Kaya, thank you very much. You have a fantastic evening.
Thank you.
Take care.